to the beginnings of our own understanding. Even the discovery of oxygen was controversial. Credit is usually split between the English clergyman and chemist Joseph Priestley, the Swedish apothecary Carl Scheele, and the French tax collector and father of modern chemistry Antoine Lavoisier. Scheele was the first of the three, but he put too much trust in the shifting sands of aristocratic patronage and floundered without publication for 6 years. Priestley had no such problems. In 1774, he made oxygen by focusing sunlight onto an oxide of mercury, and was quick to write 3 volumes on the subject. Scheele and Priestley would have taken all the credit, except that neither grasped the full significance of the new gas. Both appreciated that burning was more vigorous in pure oxygen. Scheele even called it fire-air. Yet both thought of combustion in terms of an erroneous theory, the idea that an invisible substance known as phlogiston was released into the air during burning, rather than oxygen being taken up. They thought of oxygen as pure dephlogisticated air, from which all the contaminating phlogiston had been removed. Lavoisier, the chemical revolutionary and political conservative, cast off this twisted theory in the years before the French Revolution. It was Lavoisier who bequeathed the name oxygen, and he who finally proved that oxygen was the reactive constituent of air. The name oxygen was derived from the Greek for acid former, in the mistaken belief that oxygen is necessary for the formation of all acids. It is necessary for some, such as sulfuric and nitric acids, but not for others, like hydrochloric acid. Combustion, said Lavoisier, was the reaction of oxygen with carbon or other substances. In a famous demonstration, he showed that the Holy Roman Emperor's diamonds, made of carbon, could be vaporized if heated in the presence of oxygen to form carbon dioxide, but that diamonds are impervious to heat if oxygen is excluded. Diamonds are forever only in the absence of oxygen. Lavoisier went further. By collecting gases and taking precise measurements with his ultra-sensitive balances, he showed that combustion and human respiration are fundamentally the same process. Both consume oxygen and materials containing carbon and hydrogen to give off carbon dioxide and water. Lavoisier was still engaged in weighing the gases emitted by breathing and perspiration when he was interrupted by the soldiers of the Revolutionary Tribunal, accompanied by an uncontrollable mob. He had made some powerful enemies, among them the revolutionary leader Jean-Paul Marat. Convicted on the ludicrous charge of watering the soldiers' tobacco and of appropriating revenues belonging to the state, Lavoisier was beheaded in May 1794. As the great mathematician Lagrange said, it took but a moment to cut off that head, though 100 years perhaps will be required to produce another like it. Curiously, this famous story of the discovery of oxygen is probably wrong. Not only did the alchemists get there first, but they also had a clear appreciation of the significance of oxygen. In 1604, 170 years before Scheele, Priestley, and Lavoisier, the Polish alchemist Michael Sendivogius wrote that man was created of the earth and lives by virtue of the air, for there is in the air a secret food of life, whose invisible congealed spirit is better than the whole earth. Sendivogius proposed that this aerial food of life circulated between the air and earth by way of an unusual salt, nitre, or saltpeter. Nitre, potassium nitrate, KNO3, gives every appearance of condensing from the air as a white crust on well-manured soils containing nitrogen. It has some remarkable properties. Besides being a fine fertilizer, it was used for preserving meat and as a folk remedy. When added to drinks, nitre cools them down as effectively as ice, yet when taken as a medicine produces a strong warming effect. The acid of nitre, aqua regia, or queen of waters, could dissolve gold, an attribute that appealed to alchemists. Nitre is also the chief component of gunpowder, which was invented by Chinese alchemists in the 9th century. When heated above 336 degrees Celsius, nitre decomposes to release